Good evening, friends. We at Team Advamed always believe in the best. We have so many patients who are coming to us and asking about the diet. Now, in this COVID era, it is very difficult to sit across the table and discuss your diet, which is a most important aspect of your pregnancy. Since at Advamed, we believe in the best, we have brought to you the best dietitian in the Tricity, Ms. Nupur Malhotra. I welcome you, Ms. Nupur.
Hello, ma'am.
And I welcome you, and I want you to enlighten on the most important subject which is relevant not only for the patient but also for the family.
Okay.
So we'll take up the questions in the end, but I think once she's given the entire briefing, we would be left with no queries. So over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Nupur ma'am, for inviting me here. Grateful to you. So I think the pregnancy, especially when you conceive for the first time, there's so many myths, facts, questions, and I say sometimes there's so much of anxiety also related. And nowadays, in our times, I think so, we used to read books. Now there's so much on Google that it's very difficult to know what to eat, what not to eat. First of all, the most important thing during the pregnancy is to relax yourself mentally. Till the time you're not mentally relaxed, whatever you're going to eat will not be absorbed by your body. So the first important thing is to be mentally relaxed. Don't be anxious. Take it as a part of life. Just enjoy your pregnancy. Don't make it stressful. Whether with a diet, whether with a workout regime, whether with the medicines, anything. Just relax, be calm, be natural, and enjoy your pregnancy every month, every moment, every day of pregnancy, because this is a lifetime experience for a female. Now we're going to come to the main thing, the main point why I'm here is basically the diet, Everybody wants to know what to eat, what not to eat. So there's so many things, and especially these days when I see, because of so much of food available in the market, so much of cravings, we don't even realize what we're eating, And because of that, there's so many complications also that comes during the pregnancy. So to avoid all the complications and for the betterment of you and your baby, I will just explain you few tips, trimester-wise, what to eat, what not to eat, what to avoid. So we come first to the first trimester. That means once you come to know about your pregnancy, you're almost 44 weeks done. So that 4 weeks to the 14 weeks of pregnancy, that is the time that the fetus starts developing. So the 3 things which we require is the most important is folic acid first. Now why folic acid is important, and many of you who must have planned your pregnancy in advance and visited a doctor would have already put you on a folic acid before. It's a prenatal drugs, they already start. So why this is very important? Folic acid is very important for the to avoid the neural defects in the pregnancy. Basically it's very important for the formation of your spine, the brain. There should be no neural cord defects in your formation of the baby. So that's the most important thing is folic acid. Now where you get your folic acid from? The most important, the very good source of folic acid is green leafy vegetables. And I think so it is abundance of green leafy vegetables are available, and they're available throughout your year. So make it sure that folic acid in the seeds are there, folic acid rich in seeds, kale, spinach. So try to inculcate all these things every day. Now the question comes, you don't have to eat green leafy vegetables. Try to keep changing the form of using it. You can just stuff it in your rotis. You can make a sabzi. You make a cutlet out of these green leafy vegetables. So don't get bored with eating, because this green leafy vegetables will be throughout your 9 months of pregnancy is very, very important source. This is folic acid, and make it sure that the folic acid supplements given by the doctors has to be taken very regularly also. Second important source that you need in the first trimester is iron. Iron helps, basically what does iron function? It helps to carry oxygen to all the body parts including the fetus. So if you're iron deficient, the chances of miscarriage also increases. So iron is very important source. So how you get your iron sources from? Green leafy vegetables, black chana. Start cooking your food in iron utensils. That's a very common and a very old therapy, but believe me, it's very useful. Start using kala chana in your rotis, in your cutlets. Keep changing the form. Have kala chana soup on the everyday basis, and increase and have anar, have beetroot. If you cannot have, you can have all these in a form of a very simple smoothie. I will give a very small recipe of a smoothie. Take half an anar, 3-4 leaves of spinach, then your 2-3 leaves of kale if you can get it available. I think so it's easily available these days in all the market. So kale, or half a beetroot, 1 amla, very rich source of iron. Just blend it with little water and you can have it in the morning. But the most important thing, not to have any iron food empty stomach in the morning, because iron will not absorb by the body empty stomach. So make it sure you always have it after your breakfast. And the another important thing, when you have iron food products, make it sure to include some vitamin C with it, because body will not absorb iron unless until you have vitamin C. So if you're having an anar, make it sure that you have it a mosmi or an orange with it. If you're making a smoothie, make it sure you add an orange or a mosmi, or you can add a amla to it. So vitamin C with iron combination helps in absorption very fast. So very nice food is a nice rich smoothie you can have after breakfast. It is filling also, and you will get all the nutrients in one glass. Your folic acid plus your iron also. Third important is B6 and B12 during the first trimester. The most important food B6 and B12. Why we say many of I think so out of 199 to 100% of the pregnant women are nauseatic for the first 3 months. For some females it lasts till 9 months, but first 3 months of nausea is morning sickness, evening sickness is very common. Now how to deal with this morning and the evening sickness? This is the very important, how many medicines you can have, kitni nausea ki medicines खाओगे. First important thing is have B6 and B12 products. The second is like don't keep yourself empty more than 1 to 1.5 hours. When you get up in the morning, we don't eat for the whole night. So the liver is also very sluggish. In the morning when you get up, many of you have morning sickness rather than evening sickness. So whenever you get out of bed, just make it sure, just keep a banana at your bedside. Just keep a coconut at your bedside. So that when you get up, a cracker, whatever is soothing food for you, just have it empty stomach, So that empty stomach food immediately after getting up will give you less of morning sickness. And make a timetable, put a snooze on your mobile, and after every 1 hour, put something or other in your mouth, because keeping long gap will make you more nauseatic, plus give you a lot of morning sickness, and you will not be able to eat throughout your daytime. And try to make your body alkaline, so that for the whole day you don't have acidity issues also, Acidity is very common feature during pregnancy. So if you keep your body alkaline, your acidic problem and reflux will be much better in the first 3 months. Now how to make your body alkaline? Make it sure there should be at around 8 to 10 glasses of plenty of water. Rather than don't count all the fluids in water. What the purpose? What is the function of water? No other fluid can fulfill it. So it cannot detox your body and other fluids. So make it sure you have a lot of water. That will help. And secondly, eating raw vegetables and fruits till in the morning till 12 o'clock will make your body really nicely alkaline. So try to have raw vegetables and fruit, but it should be nicely and thoroughly washed during pregnancy to avoid any bacterial infection also. So make it sure raw fruits and vegetables are very important throughout your pregnancy. 5 helping of fruits in a day is important for a pregnant woman, which should include all colors of foods. But people having gestational diabetes have to be careful of eating some fruits like grapes and chikus, mangoes, bananas. So they have to be very careful while eating, people who have gestational diabetes. And believe me, you can avoid gestational diabetes if you keep a watch in your pregnancy from very beginning. All these gestational diabetes and BP issues, they come after the 3rd trimester. Why? Because we don't eat right in our first and the second trimester. So by the end of the second trimester, and when you start putting on weight, gestational diabetes and BP issues starts occurring, which leads to lots and lots of complication in your third trimester. So make it sure in your first and your second trimester, you eat really nicely, really a well-balanced diet. So I'll come to my second trimester now. In the second trimester, main development is of the brain and the bones, two B's, the brain and the bone. So for that brain and the bones, what you require is a lot of calcium. Now, what are the good sources of calcium? There's so many people have a myth about having milk or not having milk. So in the pregnancy, no one should use cows or buffalo milk. Make it sure that you use the skim milk, a low fat milk. Because from the milk, we just want calcium, we don't want fat from the milk. So make it sure spinach, your milk, dairy, low fat dairy, only low fat dairy. Paneer made with low fat dairy is a good protein and a calcium source. So just make it sure that you consume a good low fat dairy product, spinach, kale, broccoli. They're all good source of calcium. And especially few clients who must be suffering from diabetes during pregnancy, or they are expected to prone to diabetes during pregnancy, can start having ragi. This is a very good source of calcium. So try to include ragi in any form, ragi dosa, ragi roti, 3 times at least in a week, 3 to 4 times, because that's low in GI index and a very, very good source of calcium, as it is there. In the second term, we need a lot of calcium for the bones. And for the brain, we need a lot of omega fatty acids. And you get your omega fatty acids from the seeds, your nuts. So try to include a lot of seeds, green leafy vegetables and nuts in the diet. So first trimester is folate, iron and B12 and B12. Second trimester is your calcium and your omega fatty acids. So but don't think what we need in the first trimester, you will not be requiring in the second trimester. So first trimester, you have to include these things more. In second trimester, you have to continue with what you are having in the first trimester also. So you should make a balance out of it and then choose and select your foods. Now there comes the third trimester. This is the time when you start gaining a lot of weight, all uneasiness, all complications, all of these starts during the main third trimester. So when you are in the third trimester, the blood requirement also increases because your fetus is also growing. You need more of oxygen also, and your blood iron helps in carrying oxygen to your body, to all the parts of the body and the fetus. So if you are anemic, you will start feeling breathlessness is there, more of breathlessness. So try having more of iron, more of protein. Now there comes the most essential part of your pregnancy is proteins. So without proteins, a fetus cannot grow. So where to get your proteins? Every meal in the pregnancy should include one protein from your breakfast, your lunch and your dinner. Now how to decide what to eat and how much protein to eat? From a general normal person needs 1 gram of protein per your weight. Suppose you are 55 kgs, your requirement will be 55 of proteins per day. But for a pregnant woman, it increases to 1.2 grams per day. So you can increase your proteins. Average, a pregnant woman requires 78 to 80 grams of protein every day. A person who is a non-vegetarian or vegetarian, egg is a very good source. If your cholesterols are not very high, so try to include an egg on the daily basis. If your cholesterols are high, so try to have 2 egg whites on the daily basis. Any form should be cooked with less of oil. So make it sure what you have to avoid much is your oil, excess oil in the pregnancy, excess of salt also in the pregnancy. So protein is very, very important. Every 3 meals, breakfast, lunch and dinner, 3 meals proteins has to be there. Now what are the good sources of protein for the vegetarian? All lentils, sprouts, all heavy parts like kala chana, rajma, chickpeas, they're all proteins. And breakfast proteins, you can have a lot of chilas like besan chila, dal chila, you can use oats ka chila. So try to have all these chilas, they're full of proteins. All lentils are full of proteins. Lean meats are very good for the people who are non-vegetarians. You can include fish, lean meats like chicken, eggs, any form, but make it sure that has to be cooked in minimum oil, because in pregnancy excess of oil and excess of salt will not have a comfortable pregnancy, especially in the last trimester. So try to restrict oil, salt from the very beginning of the pregnancy. Now the big no, and the vitamin K is very important in the last trimester. That is because during your delivery time the clotting of the blood has to take place. So vitamin K products are again very essential. That's there in the green leafy vegetables. So you can include all the broccoli, green leafy vegetables, nuts, seeds are very good sources of vitamin K also. So make it sure 5 things. I will just brief you out what is very important. 5 things in your pregnancy. First is your protein, which is very important for the growth of the fetus, because without protein your fetus will not grow. And believe me, if you have a good protein diet, a medium carbohydrate, you will also not grow fat, and the complication will also be minimum during your pregnancy. You should not gain more than 10 kgs averagely. I think so, Nupur ma'am, I'm right? 8 to 10 kgs till 9 months, not more than that. And believe me, if you avoid sugar, white sugar has to be completely cut from your diet during your pregnancy. White sugar has no role in the body to play. All the sweet cravings, you should take it from your fruits. Whenever you are feeling sweetness, a sweet tooth, you should always use fruits. Fruits have natural sugar, and make it sure to have low glycemic index fruits only, because to avoid gestational diabetes, which is very common. So first is protein, second is including a lot of 5 helpings of minimum fruits in a day. Then iron rich foods are very important for your carrying oxygen to the fetus. And really believe me, you have to have lot of hemoglobin level has to be good amount for your whole term of the pregnancy. You can, if you're anemic, you can have a premature baby also, and you can go into labor fast. So make it sure early labor. So try to have your iron should not get deficient, your protein should not get deficient. Carbohydrates, you need energy from carbohydrates. So make it sure you don't need excess of carbohydrates unless until you are really working out. And exercise plays a very important role during pregnancy. So make it sure you should not have a sedentary lifestyle during a pregnancy unless until you have a complication. You can always discuss with your doctor. Regular walk, regular yoga will really help for fetus to grow much better. Fifth part is you have to keep your body always hydrated, because if you are not having a plenty of fluids for the replenishment of your amniotic fluid also, you should have plenty of water. So make it sure the body should be always hydrated. It should be 8 to 10 glasses of water should be there. Try to inculcate 1 coconut water unless until you have a diabetic issue. It has full of vitamins and minerals. So you can include 1 coconut water and 1 yellow fruit every day in the morning, which gives you good amount of energy also. Just make it sure people with a high glycemic index should not include fruits like banana, grapes and chiku, and avoid coconut water also if you have a gestational diabetes. Now the main thing is salt. Make it sure that avoid table salt completely during the 9 months of the pregnancy. You should only include salt in your breakfast, in your lunch and your dinner. You should not have your salt. You should not sprinkle salt on your salads and fruits and your lassi and your nimbu pani. Try to have only 3 meals with salt to avoid any BP issues by the end term of the pregnancy. So what you have to complete, big no to the processed foods also during pregnancy. No processed foods. Now what does processed food mean? Anything which is canned. Maggi ho gaya aapka, instant oats ho gaye aapke, anything which is sealed in the bottle, Diet Coke, cans and all these things are all processed foods. So processed foods are very bad. Try to avoid those processed foods completely from your diet. Now many people have a lot of craving for chaat, papri, golgappas and all these things. They're very high sodium foods. So for your cravings, whatever you want to have, just make it sure the most important thing is to control your portion size. If you crave, try to make homemade foods, like if you want to eat a imli ki chutney, make imli is very good in iron also. Make an imli ki chutney with khajur. So dates again rich in iron, rich in vitamin C, very good source of iron. And all that chaat papri craving during the pregnancy, you can make some homemade bhel puri with murmuras, add some bhuna chana to it, add some peanuts to it, and make a bhel puri with khajur and imli ki chutney. Believe me, khajur and imli chutney turns out very well. So you can have all these homemade things in your pregnancy cravings. So try to inculcate all these in your homemade products to curb your cravings. For your sweet tooth during pregnancy, try to have dates. You can just overnight soak figs overnight. Try to have figs, try to have dates. They are rich in iron, very high in iron. So try to include all these dates and iron for your sweet tooth. Make sweet dish at home with some milk, some ghee, some low fat products. Don't use very high carbohydrate foods during pregnancy, because these days everybody is quite sedentary. So make it sure avoid high carbohydrate foods, and try to include good fats. Now, why good fats are important? They are important for absorption of vitamin D, E and K. So if you're not having good fats in your diet, the absorption of D, E, K, which is all very important throughout your pregnancy, you will not be able to absorb these. Now, where you get your good fats from? All the nuts, all the seeds are good fats. Now, how to use? Many of my clients ask whether we have to soak the seeds, whether we should use it without soaking. So we always have to use almonds overnight soaked, and seeds also is always better to overnight soak and have it. The reason for that is they all have phytic acids, which inhibits the absorption of all the vitamins and minerals. So make it sure all their nuts and seeds should be overnight soaked. You can use all those seeds in your curd, in your milk. You cannot have it like this. Just grind it, put it in your roti and make a paste out of it. People who are lactose intolerant should include almond milk, not those processed which you get in the can or in the market in the Tetra packs. Very simple recipes are there for the almond milk, and they're full of amino acids. So you can inculcate almond milk is a good source, and you can have a good amount of amino acids from your almond milk, because kitne almonds khalenge? 5, 7, 8. So try to include almond milk made at home. It has a shelf life of 2 days. So everybody can use that almond milk, and especially people who are lactose intolerant should include this. Now, so I think so this is the summary. These are 15-20 minutes I had. I just want to give you a brief. Proteins, iron-rich diet, B12, folate, they are very, very important. And the 5 helping of fruits in a day is very, very important. Because I'll just tell you get your vitamins and minerals only from your fruits and vegetables. And when we cook the vegetables, half of the minerals get destroyed because of the heat. So raw salad, I think so, our Indians are not used to so much of raw salads. So inculcate 5 helping of fruits in a day, and carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins and minerals. These 5 are very simple food which you have to include. Avoid white sugar, processed foods, and avoid outside food completely, except for curbing your cravings once or in 10 days you should have, to avoid any complication during your pregnancy.
Thank you, Nupur. That was a very elaborative and very detailed. In fact, it was an eye-opener for me also, because I discovered so many new things.
It was a very small thing which I could do in 15-20 minutes.
No, that was a wonderful session. And now I would just like to put forward few questions which I routinely face. First thing is, I want to emphasize that what you said is you're eating healthy.
Yeah.
It's not that we are eating for 2. The pregnancy calorie requirement is 350 calories extra.
Yes. That too in the 3rd trimester.
That
not initially.
Second and third trimester.
Second, yes.
And however, the routine requirement is 2000.
Yes.
So if we add 2000 and 350, that we're just adding maybe 1/6 of our routine.
Right.
It's not double. So that is the most important thing.
You don't have to eat more.
We don't have to eat for 2. We are eating for 1 and 1/6.
Yes.
That is important. Second thing is the weight gain. I really loved when you told them pregnancy is not a reason to gain weight. You know, we can gain from 7 to 17 kg with an average being 10 to 11. But then when I'm talking of 17, I'm talking of those emaciated females who are maybe 35, 38 kgs when they are pregnant. But in a normal woman who's already 50, 55 kgs with an average height, say about 5 feet 3 inches, 4 inches, which is the average height we get in Indian women, then the weight gain average is 10 to 11. So gone are the days when people used to gain, say 30 kgs and 20
yes.
kgs during
If
pregnancy.
you are conscious, you
No.
don't gain more than 11 kgs.
So one should not gain these extra calories. And throughout you talked about, low fat.
Yeah.
Even milk you talked about low fat.
Yeah.
So this is one point I want to emphasize again, because people are loaded with that ghee thing.
No ways.
People are loaded with those add-on fats which we really do not know.
We have one question. Miss Anupriya Kansal, she is asking, do you recommended milk plus ghee in third trimester?
No ghee. No, you don't need ghee in any form. Believe me, you know what happens when you're not working out, and especially in the last trimester when you're more sedentary. Everything, what will happen? You just increase your cholesterol levels. And believe me, yesterday I had a case in my clinic who just had ghee in not even in the pregnancy, but after the pregnancy, the SGOT and the liver enzyme raised to 400 and is sent to the liver specialist. He just said that you had too much of ghee after the pregnancy, not even after delivering a baby. Within 1 month, the SGOT and SGPT level raised more than 100. So you don't need ghee. Believe me, these are all myths. The earlier lady used to work so much. These days we don't work. You don't need ghee at all. Only low-fat dairy, believe me. And there's nothing that you drink ghee and you want to go into labor. This is a complete myth. So just stop having ghee completely. You're not going to labor with the ghee.
I would just add on to one thing. It's not the ghee. She talked about the essential fatty acids.
Yes.
So those essential fatty acids, they have to be fulfilled. And in our Indian scenario, because all the foods we take do not contain those. The fat we consume is coming mainly from the refined oil. So I personally believe that say about 5 almonds, one
seeds,
1
2
akroot,
teaspoons of seeds,
and then maybe you soak it overnight.
Yes.
5 munakke, that is what I tell all my patients. 5 munakke, 5 badam, 1 akroot. आप रात को भिगो दीजिए. You add it on 2 dates. I don't want I don't add on these dates. I just tell them to soak them overnight.
Yeah.
And in the morning, just half a spoon full of desi ghee to just fry it a little. Add it to the milk and consume it. It becomes very tasty, and that half a spoon would supply those essential, essential fatty
that has
acids.
to be pure, man.
But then
if you
that
don't get
has
the pure ghee, that's of no use.
But that has to be, say, about half a spoon or a spoon. Say half a spoon in the morning and half a spoon at night. And that is precisely to supply the essential fatty acids. Because if the essential fatty acids will not come, the joints will not be well lubricated. And yes, what our traditional old women used to say कि जब तक बच्चा नीचे नहीं तिलकेगा normal delivery कैसे होगी? So that essential fatty acids, since our diet is deficient in it, we do need to add, say, about a spoonful. If you're talking about a small spoon, with adding one teaspoon morning or evening, and in case you're talking about that big karchi, then it has to be very, very small fraction, just to supply the essential amino acids. And I think, Nupur, you brought up that if we add dates to it, fig seeds, so they can do better rather than the desi ghee thing. But yes, desi ghee is something which is frequently available, easily available. So spoon in the morning, spoon at night will not do any harm. But definitely not the chunks, not the karchis which everybody is consuming. No, I am not in favor, and I'm sure Nupur is not in favor either. So another thing, another question we get is, what about papaya?
Yes. Now papaya, that's a very old saying. Yes, papaya has latex and it's a papapectin basically. So they are the 2 products which may get you into labor very fast. And this is there in I had a research on this also. So it has that you get into the labor with papaya. So papaya has to be avoided. And think so from years we are listening that it should not be there. And the 2 product, it has latex, it gets into the labor fast.
I would just like to add, see, papaya seeds in Ayurveda have been found to be abortifacient. So sometimes when we consume this papaya, we really do not brush off the inner layer that well. So if we are brushing off the inner layer pretty well, papaya would actually do no harm. And in fact, most of the women, they suffer from constipation.
Yeah.
They don't take adequate water. So a little bit of everything is okay. And especially avoid papaya seeds, but there's nothing as such कि आपने fruit chart बनाई है और उसमें 4 chunks papaya के आ गए and that's going to harm
But
you.
90%
No.
people, all the females in this India has a myth, they will not even touch it.
So there's no harm in avoiding, but then if it is consumed in a small amount, it really would not have any effect. And more so, the papaya seeds, they are mainly to be avoided. That is another important
one. I think so. I'll just tell you one food which you can really add in your pregnancy: sweet potatoes. Therefore, one form of beta carotene they have. It has vitamin. It's a form of vitamin A, which is very helpful during the pregnancy. So papaya also has a lot of vitamin A, so you can replace it by sweet potatoes, which is very healthy food. So you can include every day.
And it's tasty also.
And it's tasty also.
So, and another thing she brought out was no added salt. So that is what I want to emphasize once again. No salt container on your dining table or on your snacks table, because the added salt is the reason why we get a lot of patients with high blood pressure, and not even just the high blood pressure, the gestational edema.
Yes.
If your salt intake is less, the swelling of your feet will definitely be less. So that is very important thing. And one line I want to add on, she talked about cooking in iron utensils.
That's a very simple.
That's very simple, economical method.
Yes.
And
it really benefits.
मोटे तौर पे हम लोग बोलते हैं कि जो भी चीज काटने पर काली हो जाती है, so that may be your ghee, that may be tasty things like your apple, your anar, all the things, they are very rich source of iron. Beetroots, so consume that. And sweet things. She said once you have a sweet tooth, so many patients say कि हमें ना craving होती है कुछ मीठा खाने की. So you talked about the figs,
the dates, and always have to pick up a fruit. Fruits have natural sugar, so believe me, once you're gonna have a fruit, you will not have that sweet tooth craving. So you want to make Swedish with khajur at home, a little bit of jaggery. To be very honest, you don't get a pure jaggery. So try to make khajur se kheer bana lo, do all these things. Figs dal do, meecha karne ke liye. So try to do all the natural things and avoid white sugar completely from your diet.
So our kitchen is no more going to contain white sugar, it will only contain that brown sugar.
Yeah. Not even brown sugar. Try to have just a little shakar or desi khan, if you really
Shakkar ya desi khan. And dining table will not have salt container. So that is
limited oil.
And the bottom line would be that tasty khana can be healthy too.
Yes, it can.
She just told us about some beautiful things. She told us
chaat papdi can be the most there during the pregnancy time. So bhel puri made at home with more maras, chanas, and you can add just dry roast some lentils, add some chana dal to it and make a mixture of this. You can just keep it and store it and just add some onion and add some kheera and tomato, and in which this way you can add some salad to your body, otherwise it's very difficult to have salads. So you can just add salad and make some khajur imli ki chutney, some mint chutney, and just try to keep all this chutney with less of salt so that you don't have all this gestational edema and everything.
So we want all of you to work out in your pregnancy regarding your health, and regarding your diet, you need to work on your diet. It's very easy to get these junk tasty foods. Just take a chunk of Smileys from the refrigerator, put it in the oil and eat it. That's easier, but that's the most unhealthy thing we can do to our pregnancy. Instead, she talked about the murmura chaat, she talked about chutney, she talked about dates. She talked about so many yummy things, which are really mouth-watering.
And you can easily have it, easily readily available at home, all these things.
And another thing you talked about is soaking. I want you to talk about it again.
Okay.
Because that is one thing I want you to really emphasize.
Okay, I will tell you two things, Now, if person who is diabetic, this gestational is very common.
True.
Very common now. So for people who are suffering from, first I will tell you about gestational diabetes. You get millets in the market. They're whole grains. So if you just avoid roti and start having millets in your diet, you get your buckwheat millet, you get your kodu millet, you get your little millet, barnyard millet, which is also known as samakka chawal. So you can just soak all these millets at night. Just give a whistle like a
khichdi. Put it in Hindi so that they know what you're talking about.
Millet is a pura grain hota basically, which is not processed. So there's so many kind of grains available, and that's kodu millet, buckwheat millet. They're all some millets which are gluten free. Anything which is gluten free is more healthier during your pregnancy. So you can just soak these millets overnight. Make a lentil like a dal, kala chana, white chana, rajma. Like we eat rajma chawal, you eat kadi chawal. ये सबको बहुत पसंद है during pregnancy. So just have millet with your rajma, you have millet with your kala chana, you have millet with your dal. So just make it like millet like a khichdi. कुछ नहीं करना होता, उसको रात को ओवरनाइट सोक कीजिए, कुकर में एक विसल दिलाइए, कड़ी पत्ता का तड़का लगाइए. कड़ी पत्ता is very healthy to use during pregnancy. Again it has folate, it has iron. So उसको तड़का लाइए, अपनी जो राजमा चावल की क्रेविंग है, कड़ी चावल की क्रेविंग है, उसके साथ खाइए. So it's a full complete meal which a pregnant lady requires with the protein, with the carbohydrates, and it's gluten free again. And second, ma'am was telling about soaking. Why we have to soak? Because all these grains, even the millet, they have phytic acids. Basically, what is function of phytic acids? They don't let your vitamins and minerals absorb in the body. So अगर हम seeds और almonds बिना soak करे खाएंगे तो हमारी body में vitamins and minerals absorb नहीं करेगी body, जो भी हमारे vitamins and minerals हम खा रहे हैं. So make it sure आप इनको soak करके खाएं. Soak करके खाने से आपकी absorption बॉडी में बेटर हो जाती है. इवन द बॉडी अब्सॉर्ब्स vitamins and minerals fast when you soak it. And third, which is important, I have so much to talk, but I don't know what to talk and what not to.
Actually, it's a very extensive topic.
Third thing, I would like you to have fermented foods. I never talked about this before. Fermented foods are also very healthy because it absorbs in the body fast. So if you make idlis, you don't have to just make idli with the chawal. You know, every time idli khana chawal might leads to glycemic increasing your sugar levels. So you make dal ki idli. जैसे हम भल्ले बनाते हैं ना, you can just soak dal, any lentil, अरहर की दाल, मूंगी धुली दाल, उसको रात को soak करके सुबह grind करके add little bit of ENO to it, and you make idlis out of it. So it's such a lentil idli, you can have mint and a khajoor chutney with it. So it's a complete meal. So fermented foods are very very good. You can make a dosa. When you're making a dosa, add few ragi ka atta in it, few spoons of ragi ka atta, and make it a healthy dosa. So fermented foods like idli, dosa are very very good, you know, and they're very rich in B12, and they will also prevent first 3 months having boiled rice, boiled potatoes, and fermented foods also give you less of morning sickness and evening sickness, because first 3 months of pregnancy you need more of energy. And you feel drained out in the first 3 months because of nausea, because of the vomiting. So you can have small amount of foods like a boiled potato will give you a lot of energy, boiled rice will give you a lot of energy with the small quantities. Because in the first 3 months of pregnancy you cannot overeat, you don't feel like eating. So whatever you eat, you should get more energy from that food. Sweet potatoes, fermented foods, they will give you more energy in less food and better absorption also. So try to include a lot of fermented foods in during your pregnancy.
We have a question from Mrs. Singla. She's asking how can we boost our immunity in these COVID-19 times, you know, because in pregnancy we need to protect ourselves all the more.
Yeah, first of all I'll tell you, you know, you cannot increase your immunity. जो आजकल आते ये खा लो, ये खाना पी लो, आपकी जो immunity बचपन में बन चुकी है, to be very honest. The most important thing to improve is protein and your vitamin C products. Ek amla, oranges, and make it sure don't have juices, you know. Many people I think they are having mosmi and arka juice during pregnancy.
Those real juices they have, which are not real.
Real juices, they're actually, they have no they have just only empty calories, they have no nutrition value. Whatever is written, no sugar, no preservatives, completely fake. In India, you cannot have anything stored without a preservative in a Tetra Pak. So it's a complete myth you're having. Even don't have fresh juices. Fresh juices mean you just have all the sugar, you lose all the fiber, you're just inculcating sugar in the diet. So it's of no use for your body. So make it sure you cut fruits and have. People who cannot have a lot amount of fruit, make a smoothie of a fruit. Just put some strawberries. There's a lot of berries these days in the market, blueberries, strawberries, and they're quite cheap. Strawberries are very cheap these days. It's not an expensive food. So have 2-3 strawberries, thoda sa anar, thoda sa apple, and just make a smoothie out of it. You know, just add a bit of water, put it in a jar, and just squeeze it. Just churn in the mixie. Just don't stain it. If you want to stain the smoothie, you're going to lose all the fiber. So have cut fruits and have no juices at all. Completely big no to the juices.
So, and one last question.
Have a lot of oranges and mosmi for increasing your vitamin C. So vitamin C is amla, oranges. Have a lot of nimbu pani during the day without sugar, without salt. Nimbu pani completely without sugar.
Nimbu pani is nimbu pani. It's not shikanji.
Not shikanji, not even salt, not even sugar. Just nimbu and pani. You can have 2-3 glasses in a day. It's a lot of vitamins. You have amla, you get a lot of vitamin C. And watermelon, if you cut fresh and have it, have lots and lots of vitamins and minerals. So watermelon is a very good hydrating fruit for summers.
So another question is, so many patients these days we are coming across who have a low platelet count. And as far as pregnancy is concerned, we're okay with somewhere around 50,000. But when we come on to the delivery aspect, we need a platelet count of minimum 1 lakh. And we do get patients whose platelet count is about say 70,000 or 80,000. So any diet which they can do to boost up their platelet
Rich
count.
iron diet, ma'am. Anar, kiwi is very good to increase your platelet. Green leafy vegetables. A very one good smoothie that I told you, which really increase your platelet count is kale. Then you have your spinach, your beetroot, your amla, and an apple, and anar. Just put it in a mixer, just grind it, have that smoothie. Your platelet count increase within 10 to 12 days. You're going to see a good rise in your platelet count.
So that is very, very important. And I want you people to listen to it again and again, how to boost up your platelet count through your diet.
Okay, one very good tip I will give you for iron increasing, especially with the low, because iron deficiency is very common in pregnancy. And take 10 leaves of palak, wash it nicely, don't cook it, make a gur and an imli ki chutney or a khajur and an imli ki chutney. After your breakfast, make a smoothie only with palak, with little bit of water. Make it a smoothie and add 1 teaspoon of gur and imli ki chutney and have it after breakfast. Within 15 days, you're going to see your hemoglobin levels increasing drastically.
So this is going to be our wonder therapy for increasing the hemoglobin. And last of all, the last question I want to ask is gastritis. See, a lot of women, they do have craving, you know, for all these spicy products, and that's quite natural. TV में हम देखते हैं ना, pregnancy पता ही तब लगी जब खट्टा खाने को दे दिया. So can they do something about this gastritis aspect? How to, you know, manage this gastritis?
Basically, gastritis, when you eat too much, then you develop gas. If you don't eat, then you can develop gas. So both ways you develop gas. So first of all, people, make it sure that you don't keep long gap between your meals. If you keep long gap, you get gastric, you get reflux, you get acidity. So eating after maybe 1.5 hours, but very small portion, you just pop up 2-3 pieces of oranges, 2-3 strawberries, anything, you know, just 2-3 makhanas in your diet. Just keep on popping so you don't have long gap, you don't have acidity and you don't have pre-gastric. Second, when you have gas, when you overeat, when your body is not able to digest so much of food. So that is the sign that will tell you that you're overeating. So first, at that time, you have to keep a watch that you're overeating. Inculcate more of fresh fruits and vegetables when you feel gastric, so that you don't, and limit your carbohydrate intake at that time, because that is the time your body is not able to digest food. So try eating something light, like I eat a khichdi, so that you get your body digested and a lot of gas doesn't happen. Now, for people who have no issues with the BP and everything, you can just pop up 1/4 teaspoon of ajwain with a lukewarm water. It helps in removing gas. Go for your walk when you feel gastric, so that your food get digested, and have a lot of water. And the second thing, people with a lot of acidity think to have thanda milk. I will say don't have thanda milk when you have acidity, because reason is milk have hardest of enzyme to digest. So don't have thanda milk, have a bowl of curd. Curd is pre-digested by the body. It has a lot of lactobacillus. A very good, it's like a very good for gut. Basically, it has a good bacteria for gut. So if your gut is good, you will not develop gas. So make it sure have a bowl of curd rather than having more of milk. So those days when you feel gastric, avoid milk completely and try to have more of curd in your diet. So that will relieve a lot of gastric issues also.
So it was a wonderful, wonderful session. And so many new things, you know, you've added on to the kitchen template. You've added figs, dates and so on and on. And I'm sure the audience would benefit. And this video is not just, you know, for the present people who are attending it in form of live chat. It's going to be recorded. It's going to be there on our Facebook page. It's going to be there on this AdvaMed page. I don't know for how long, forever maybe. That's what the beauty of internet is. And I'm sure everybody would be benefiting with it. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Nupur.
Thank you, Nupur.
It was wonderful having you here.
Thank you so much.
Really. Thank you.